We can now bring in Peter Zalmayev, Director at the Eurasian Democracy Initiative. Good afternoon. Thank you very much for joining us here on France 24. Now, it seems that Vladimir Putin's strategy in this war has changed once again as Russia faces setbacks on the battlefield. It seems that attacking Ukraine's critical energy infrastructure is the new focus. Do you agree?
Oh, well, yes, indeed. This is becoming a pattern now. Now that Vladimir Putin once again is showing that there's simply no way he can achieve his military victories in Ukraine. He is trying to change the narrative. First there's this talk about withdrawing the civilian population from Kherson, which is obviously very questionable. We in Ukraine here believe that this could be a way to use these civilians as a shield to protect the retreating Russian troops. And now Surovikin, the newly appointed general, is talking about potential terrorist act on the part of the Ukrainians against the Kakhovka power plant in which case we believe that this could be a preparation for a false flag operation. Russians themselves starting to shell Kherson if they retreat, or blowing up that power dam, hydroelectrical power plant. This could be a disaster, but then blaming the Ukrainians for it.
What is Putin trying to achieve by imposing martial law in these 4 areas he illegally annexed, and, of course, imposing those new restrictions at home?
Well, this is a million-dollar question. Obviously, as has been pointed out by experts, this sort of thing you do at the beginning or even before you start a full-fledged war, not now. So the way we're looking at it, and this is what Ukrainian officials have commented on, this could be a way to first of all, control more tightly the local population, to try to prevent any sort of sabotage and any local resistance to the occupation. And once again, this could be a way for Putin to justify massive deportation of Ukrainians into this far-flung areas of Russia, including in the Far East, depressed areas of Russia. This would constitute a war crime, but this is not something we haven't seen already. Just as a reminder, in September, Russia, according to UN figures, deported as of September 2.5 million Ukrainians, which included 38,000 children, which constitutes human rights violations, war crimes, essentially. And this is what we think may be happening now. And let me just add one more thing. These sort of things in Russia usually are subject to broad interpretation. So we can also assume that this could lead to Putin's desire to fully suspend any activities of political parties, political organizations, and further tighten the screws of any sort of life that is outside of the state control.
It seems that a lot of things have changed over the past 2 weeks, especially since that bridge connecting Crimea to Russia got blown up. It seems that the war has shifted because before, in the run-up to that act, we saw that Ukraine was gaining a lot of territory on the battlefield. But it seems that things have shifted in terms of Russia's reaction, in terms of striking different targets across Ukraine. Should there be a push to start negotiations? Not even, because it seems that both sides are nowhere near that at this point in time.
Well, if we talk about Kherson specifically, then I would argue with that. To say that the Ukrainians have a very good shot now at conquering at least or reclaiming.
On the battlefield, yes, I agree with you on the battlefield, yes, as long as the weapons keep flowing from NATO allies towards Ukraine. Yes, on the battlefield, Ukraine is making progress, but we have seen in these past 2 weeks alone how Russia has been acting. We've seen the use of Iranian-made drones being used on the battlefield to target critical infrastructure that is impacting power supplies, water supplies ahead of the onset of winter.
Well, we cannot say that we haven't been warned. We have been warned that the winter is going to be long, difficult and cold. We are prepared for it. Obviously, we're not there yet. We don't know the full scale of it. 40% of our power infrastructure has been damaged. You know, there are rolling blackouts in Ukraine as we speak. But the formula is very simple. Should we negotiate with Vladimir Putin right now? It would only be to grant him a pause, to regroup, to rebuild his armed forces, to start striking on Ukraine again with the triple force, because he has not given up on his idea of destroying Ukraine as an independent state. So
I agree with you,
our
but
reasoning
2 weeks
here-
ago, the momentum was really in Ukraine's favor. Things have shifted over the past 2 weeks now,
It
haven't they?
remains in our favor. We have to tough it out. And I think there's a good argument to be made that should Ukraine continue having successes in the battlefield, you know, Vladimir Putin's grip on power will weaken. So it's a war of attrition, but it's also a war of attrition that means Vladimir Putin will eventually be toppled. I mean, it may be speculative to say at this point, but this is the only option we have. We cannot contemplate Vladimir Putin remaining in power in Russia. For as long as he remains in power in Russia, he's not only a threat to Ukraine, he's a threat to the entire world.
Peter Zalmayev, we're going to have to leave it there. Thank you very much for joining us on the program today.
Yeah.